Hello friends, how are we doing? I'm aware that this week's video I did promise a tattoo related video, and this is not that. I put out a little Q&A on my Instagram, and I've had a bunch of questions in the comment section of my YouTube videos and stuff, so I thought I'd just do a Q&A and I'd answer a load of the questions that I've got, right? I've got this El Septimo Emperor Augustus. Let's see if you can see that there. Septimo, a brand that I've actually reviewed on my channel back in the day, years ago. I actually spoke to the owner, the old owner of El Septimo back in the day, and he sent me some free cigars, and they were really good. And they've since been bought out by some billionaire guy who's very impassioned and makes great content online. And so I'm going to give that a go. I'm going to answer these questions that I've got. Right, anyway, let's go. Questions. Do you actually enjoy cold plunges? Or is it just discipline for the sake of it? Yes, I haven't done it. I haven't done a cold plunge in ages. I'm going to try and rattle through these questions, all right? So I haven't actually done a cold plunge in ages. I'm not entirely sure why. I'm just out of the routine of doing them. I'm actually looking at my cold plunges right there. I think it's mostly to do with the fact that I haven't been training as much. So when I train a lot of jiu-jitsu, I obviously use cold plunges as a way of like aiding my recovery. But actually, yes, I do really enjoy cold plunges. When I was in Lapland a couple of years ago, I did like the frozen lake thing. I love cold water. It makes me feel good. I have a cold shower every morning. At the very least, what I do is when I'm in the shower in the morning, well, after I finish my shower, I turn the dial all the way down so that it's like really cold, and I just let the cold water hit me. It always wakes me up, gives me a buzz. Cold water is one of those things that once you've been doing it for a while, it becomes very pleasurable, right? So yes, I do actually love the cold plunges. How's jiu-jitsu benefited you beyond being able to choke someone out? Obviously, it's great training. It's a great physical fitness, and it's great cardio. I find cardio really boring. I'm not going to go running or do any of that. I also find things like high rocks and stuff like that, I think that's super lame. I'll be honest. So jiu-jitsu is a great way of getting like really intense cardio, physical fitness, I think. So I'm in the best shape possible when I'm doing a lot of jiu-jitsu. But then in other ways it's helped me is with like network and social, because I live on my own. A lot of the time I can work on my own, and I live quite a sort of like a solemn existence much of the time, right? So jiu-jitsu has helped me socially, I would say. It gets me around other people, and it's a great social thing. There's many other ways that jiu-jitsu has helped me, I'm sure, but without going too far into it, that's how I'd answer it. What was your lowest point financially? Well, there have been many. There have been, I would say this, I've had more low points financially than I've had high points. And I think that's most people's, I think that is true for most people. My lowest point financially, many, man. I've had times where I couldn't afford like to eat. I remember I used to go to Tesco's, and whatever money I had, because I'm not very good at maths, I used to put say I had like £20, I would put I'd get the calculator app on my phone, and I would put 20 in there, and then as I was going around the shop putting things in my basket, let's say I put like some chicken in there, say that chicken was like £6, I would minus 6 off of the 20 so that I knew how much more I had to spend, so that I knew when I got to the checkout that my card was going to go through, because I only had that much money in my account to eat for the week or whatever. So I'd say that was pretty low. And I've been there loads of times, even when you're in a point where it looks like you've got everything going for you, or you've got your own business, or you're successful. I've still had points where I've been struggling financially. I think like this year, I lost 100 grand when a customer went bust. And in January, and that was quite stressful. And I was actually in Dubai at the time, so I was on the beach smoking a cigar, and I lost 100 grand, and I was like, oh God. So even though I was on a beach in Dubai, I was having a very stressful time with money. So, but it's just how it goes, man. Like money can be very stressful, but it's so up and down that I tend not to. It's not my main cause of stress anymore, put it that way. I've had this question before. Do tattoos ever hurt you in business, or is that massively overplayed? I think that's massively overplayed. I think the whole tattoos in the business world and all that, I don't think people care. I think it makes a difference what you've got. Like if I had like a cobweb on the side of my face, would that affect me in business? Maybe. But I think it really largely depends on who you are and how you pull it off. I have never noticed tattoos harming me in any way in business. My experience. This is a good one. Do you ever have lazy days where you do absolutely nothing? I mean, yeah, all the time. I think with social media and YouTube and stuff like that, it's really easy to make it look like you're a hustle grind entrepreneur. I've definitely had periods where I've been like really on it and relentlessly working. You got to remember, right? My online persona is one where I talk about my businesses and my pursuits a lot of the time. But like yesterday, right? I've been getting up at 5 a.m. most days. And yesterday, for whatever reason, I woke up at 7:30 and then I got up and I went and had a drink and I wandered around my apartment and then I ended up getting back in bed and then not waking up until 10:30, right? So like, I don't know, my body obviously needed it, but yeah, don't let people fool you to thinking that like, not everyone is like Jocko up at 4:30 a.m. Not everyone is doing that. Most people are completely human, and after we've done it for like a week or so, we need a rest. Have men gotten softer? Depends who you're referencing. I'm only 40, so I can't really say. Like, I don't really... And a lot of the men I know are not... I wouldn't describe as soft. Are men soft is a different question, and I would say yes, I meet too many men who are soft. I think in today's day and age we talk a lot about like mental health and all this kind of stuff, and whilst that's very important, I think that people are, have the wrong end of the stick with it, because you will hear people talk about mental health, but they'll say it from their sofa. Before you start talking about mental health, tell me what you're doing about it, because I think it's mostly about action. I think that men are like, we're beings of action, and unless you're actually doing things like taking action, I just don't think that you should be like waffling on about it. That's my perspective. It's controversial, I know. Does social media help you more than it hurts you? Honestly, it's quite a strange question, isn't it? I don't really know. I think that it depends why you're doing it. There's two reasons why I'm doing it. The first is my personal, I'm documenting it personally for myself. If you go back on this channel, there's videos from like 8-9 years ago, and then I stopped uploading for a bit. And then when I look back on those old videos, it's quite nice to see how far I've come. So I quite enjoy having that diary, that video diary. I try to be myself on camera. And if I'm doing that, then people like you guys watching, the idea is you get to know me a little bit. I've had meetings with investors, and they watch all of my content, and that's good for me because they get to know me a little bit more. So, and I kind of feel like the more people know me, the more they might want to work with me, and I might want to work with them. So I think having a personal brand can be really useful if you're in business. Not everyone's going to want to work with you, especially if you have certain views. But to be honest, the kind of stuff I talk about, if people who aren't aligned with me, I'm not sure I really want to work with them anyway. Do you know what I mean? So I think it kind of creates a situation where it brings in more of your people, and it kind of like pushes the people who are not aligned with you away, if that makes sense. And trust me, I get a lot of that. Like, I'll put stuff on on Instagram, and I'll get people like quite triggered by it, and they'll like push back on me. And in my experience, a lot of the time it's I'm kind of like, well, yeah, you're saying this shit because you're not my people. What's the one car you've owned that lived up to the hype, and one that didn't? Well, look, I've not owned that many cars, but I can't say what one didn't, but I can tell you one that did. when one of my dream cars was a G-Wagon, a Mercedes G63. I remember years ago when I first ever saw them, like particularly the older ones, right? And I just thought that was the maddest thing ever, like this old military vehicle with like this huge V8 engine in it, and I just thought it was totally mental, and I thought they were also like gangster as fuck. And then I bought one, right? I had one, and that car, like, I had so much fun in that. I had so much fun in that car. The reason why I liked that car so much was because you never forgot what you were driving, and that's what I like in a car. I like the character. Driving that car was always an experience. From the sound of the like doors unlocking to the driver position to like the view from the driver's seat, the sound, the burble of that V8 never got old, and I enjoyed every moment of driving it. The downside of that car, I didn't like the attention it drew. You know, when you drive a car like that, people kind of like look at you, and it made me a little bit uncomfortable. But for the most part, I really enjoyed owning that car. So the G63 was everything I'd hope it to be. I now have the Defender, and I've really enjoyed owning the Defender, and I think I'm going to do a review of it soon. You don't talk about playing much, but there are guitars always around. There's always guitars around. So a lot of people won't know this, but I used to be a professional guitar player. I was a session guitar player for a long time, and I was a musician for most of my young life. I was in various bands and all this kind of stuff. And I don't really play anymore, but it is something I pick them up from time to time, and I still sort of like noodle around. But I still love guitars. I still like really love looking at them, and so every now and then I'm like, oh, I should buy a guitar, you know. But I don't play as much as I should. That's why there's always guitars around. I'm an ex-musician, an ex-professional guitar player, and I still very much appreciate the art of the guitar, right? Not just the sound, but the look. I love guitars, and a lot of the music I listen to is predominantly guitar based. Any book recommendations? Yes, just finishing a book called Endurance. It's about Shackleton's expedition to the Arctic, and it's been a really good book, a real page turner. Read that book. You'll enjoy it, trust me. This isn't a question, this is a statement, but I like it. You're a coffee snob. Yes, I am a coffee snob. The other day, I posted a picture. I think I had to stop. It was really early, and I had to stop at like a Costa Coffee. Now listen, I went to a Costa Coffee on like the A40, and I paid like £5 for a cortado, and it was shit, right? It was crap, and it took longer, and the service sucked, and the place that I went into to get it was gross. If you're drinking like Starbucks or Costa or any of that crap, then you've got it wrong. Like, find independent coffee shops. Like, just please. It's Costa Coffee and Starbucks. That's just the Greggs. That's like what Greggs is to food. Please stop drinking that shit. Like, it's awful. It's dreadful. Yes, I am a coffee snob, 100%. And related to that, are you opening your own coffee shop? What can I say? I've had romantic ideas over the years of opening a cigar shop or opening coffee shops, and I've never pulled the trigger on it. But watch this space. That's all I can say. That's all I say. One bike, one car, what are you choosing? This is a good question. Harley Davidson Fat Boy. It's the best bike you can get. One of the old ones. One car, what are you choosing? Oof. I'm gonna have to go with the Land Rover Defender. It does everything. It does everything. You can go to dinner with your girlfriend, and you can turn up on the job site. It's just acceptable in all situations. Do you think most men dress badly because they don't care or because no one taught them? This is a good question, right? Well, first of all, I don't think most men dress badly, but I do think most men don't put thought into it, right? So, and I do think that they don't teach themselves. I think most men don't put any effort into researching it. And I think they're the same with women. Most men don't put much research into women and how to talk to women or deal with women. And they do the same thing with clothes. They don't put any research or time into how to dress. So I don't think that most men dress badly, but I do think that most men could benefit from just a little bit of like help. But I think like anything else, like I didn't really start putting much effort into that stuff until I started seeing guys who dressed well and being like, oh, hang on, why does he look so cool and I don't? I just think it's a time thing. Most of us are busy. Most of us don't have time to think about that stuff, so you can't really blame men. Any menswear brands you think are massively overrated? Well, that's a weird question. I think that generally I think all the high street brands are generally overrated. And I think that a lot of the designer brands are overrated, like your Hugo Bosses and your sort of, do you know what I mean? I can't think of any others right now. I think a lot of those streetwear brands, you know, your Palm Angels and stuff like that, I think they're overrated. I can't really talk about brands that are overrated, but I can tell you ones I love. And they would be, you know, classics like Ralph Lauren. Brands like Visvim and Capital, great brands. Double RL, amazing brand. Ironheart. There are other cool brands like the Flathead and Indigo Ferrer. They're awesome brands. And then at the sort of lower end of the scale, there's brands like Sons. They're great entry point. There's not loads I can think of that are overrated. But there's certainly brands I can think of that are better, right? Are you into art? Yes, I am into art. Yeah, I am. Art pieces around. I've got quite a few pieces from Oliver Mackintosh. Oliver Mackintosh is a London-based artist, and I've also got a Wes Lang over there. Wes Lang is probably my favourite artist. If you're not familiar with Wes Lang, he's worth looking up. I like Damien Hirst. I really like Georgia O'Keeffe. You know, I did art when I was in school, and I used to do a lot of art. I don't do it anymore, but I'd like to get back into it. It'd be something that I would do in the future. But yeah, I like art. I dig art. I dig sort of like modern art and impressionist and figurative stuff as well. So I'm quite into like the weird shit. Another question I had on a YouTube video was, what's the update with the court case? I can't talk about it. There is a hearing in February, and I will update everyone when the hearing is done. Long story short though, I did try to settle it out of court, but the other party was not having none of it, which is, you know, I don't think that's going to reflect well on him, but is what it is. I was trying to just bury it so I could just get on with my life, got other things to think about. I like looking out the windshield, not the rearview mirror. But unfortunately, when you're dealing with other people, you have to sometimes... I'm not going to say any more on it. Best coffee spots and what makes them good, or what makes it good. Yeah, so I like different things from coffee spots. So I went to a really good one yesterday, which was Woodstock Coffee, which is Woodstock in the Cotswolds. Really good. Rough and ready, right? Rough around the edges, just your general sort of coffee shop. But the coffee was great. So the number one thing is like, how good is the coffee? The coffee there was amazing. The second thing I always look for is like the general ambience. Like when I go into a coffee shop, right, I'm usually going to sit down and read or just soak it in. So I need the right music, the right chair, the right setting. Like this is all important to me. I'd say my number one coffee shop though would probably be Shot, which there's a couple in London. The original one was on Berkeley Square. It's a high-end one, but the coffee there, man, it is like next level. I think a local one, local to me anyway, is there's a place called Cooper's in Marlow, and that is really good. James, the guy who owns that place, great job. And it's like, so there's a main place called Miller's Eatery, and that's the sort of cafe, and Cooper's is the coffee roastery inside of it. And both places are great. So well worth a visit if you're in the Marlow area. I think that's it. There were some questions about tattoos, but we're going to go into that in the next video. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. If you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit the like button. And I will see you in next week's video. Thanks a lot, guys, and have a great week.